Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, it's your host, Sean, on the Above the Bar podcast. We've bellied up here on the first Wednesday. I think it's the first Wednesday in May. I think it is. No, it's the second one because today's the 7th, so that would make, I don't know. It's a Wednesday and it's in May, so we've bellied up to the bar. We're here making it happen. And to do so, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things. And like I said to somebody else a moment ago, he could be, there's a good chance that he's at least the second person that most service members see, if not the first person they see, either when they get home and they're back from their first appointment. So joining us, and I'm going to stand by it. There is really, even though I grew up in Baltimore, we don't call it the city. We call it going into town when we go down into the city. It's the only major city I know where we say that. So he's from the city, and there really is only one the city. So joining us all the way from New York City, it's my guest and yours, Mr. Devin Noir.
What's up, everyone? How are you doing tonight?
Woo, I don't know if my sound effect came through, but what's up, brother? So,
What's
even
up?
your hair is noir. Look at that. We'll use French words the entire time.
Oh yeah, I mean
Let's speak with the
it's all
French accent.
natural. My
Let's
hair
speak
just
the
gets darker
entire
as I get
time.
older, so I'm kind of lucky in that area, I
Look
think.
at that. Older. What are you, like 25, 26? Don't start with me.
I am 36 as of last month.
Good Lord. Keep eating whatever you're eating and whatever genetics you got. You're doing well, brother. So we're
Thank
going to
you,
be
thank you.
talking about developing a career with intention, but Devin owns Devil May Cry tattoo parlor down in the city. Do you go by parlor or studio? We'll have to
It's a
discuss that.
studio.
We'll have to
Well, the
discuss that.
difference
Is that a
between like
coastal
a
thing?
no. It's just like what the industry is slowly becoming into. We're stepping away from like the shop parlor dynamics as time goes on and going into more, which I think is actually a callback to original tattooing, even tattooing back in the 20s and 30s, studio work.
Gotcha.
Um, because, as you mentioned before, a lot of service people, they love their tattoos
I
and,
do.
you yeah, oh my God, you guys love them. And, just thinking about it, the history of it, we have Sailor Jerry, right? Everyone knows who Sailor Jerry is. But he had a small hole in the wall room in a basement that he would move every few months because tattooing was illegal. So you
Oh,
had to
really?
hide it. Yeah, it was illegal
I
for a
had
very
no
long
idea.
time here in New York City. It was illegal until 1997. That's when we got tattooing became legal again. And I think the studio aspect of it is a callback to tattooing's roots, at least back in
Nice.
that era.
I had no idea. Well, let's go ahead and talk about our sponsors. And for those of you that have already logged in, please take a moment, like, share, follow, do all those cliche things. I know this isn't your kid's Cocomelon episode, but take your time, do that for us so that everyone can know what we got going on here, what Devin has happening. And if you have questions for him, make sure you drop them in there in the comments. We'll be able to answer all your questions live and on the show. So, real quick, over my right shoulder, we got the big board for Sticker and a Cause. If you got something you're supporting, something you believe in, I don't care if it's a band, if it's a show, if you got your own tattoo studio, whatever it is you got going on. If you reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, our website is the above the bar podcast.com. Our email is the above the bar podcast at gmail.com. Reach out to me. Let me know what it is. I'll tell you where to send the sticker, and we'll read about you live on the air. It costs you nothing more than an email and maybe a stamp. So we'll talk about you, get you some advertisement out there. Other thing is, let's talk about our sponsors. That's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Budget Blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki, and Budget Blinds of Schoharie. Those are all up here in the upstate area, man. I know it. I know as soon as you guys get past the Hudson, the Westchester, it gets kind of sketchy for everyone in New York City, but it's like we're up here. I promise. There's other parts of New York.
Oh, it's still New York to me. It's
It's
definitely
all
still
New
New York
York.
to me. It's all New York.
So, look, you already got Casey Calvo. She said she loves your work. So
Thank you,
make sure.
Casey.
So we've got Budget Blinds is our sponsor. They are North America's largest custom window treatment company. If you're looking for custom window treatments, whether it be shades, shutters, blinds, drapes, tint, you name it, they can do it. They can do custom colors. if you have a shop of your own, they can actually do a roller shade and print on there, open and close, do all that kind of stuff for you. So reach out to them up here in the local area if you are looking for that. For the month of May, they are 20% off of your product. And if you motorize it, it's an additional 5% off. You got your fans are hitting it up, brother. Another 5%,
Ava.
another 5% off your motorized orders. And as always, if you tell them you're there to belly up to the bar, that's our line. They're going to give you another 5% off of that. So you got a good chance you could be doing anywhere between 25 to 30% off your order. Look at that. Somebody named Tay giving you the fire right there.
Oh
So
man, the squad is out tonight. It's good to
people
see
are out.
everyone. Thank you.
All this is done. So I want to get into, a little bit of this real quick. So a little bit of your background. First off, I love the name of the studio, Devil May
Thank
Cry.
you.
You said you played all the games.
Yes.
I just watched the Netflix animated series, which was absolutely awesome. And my 15-year-old was like, "Dad, don't you know this one and that one and that character?" I'm like, "No, kid, I don't know any of them. I'm this." Like, but see, I he hits me up with all these things, and here's where I'm 48, and I'm like, "Let's talk about Robotech for a minute." And
Okay.
he's like, "What?"
Hmm.
I'm like, Can we talk about like some old school like when we didn't call it anime, we called it Japanimation. Can we talk about that?
Oh, so you're talking about like Astro Boy, Speed Racer,
See,
Robotech, Gundam,
oh
Berserk,
Gundam.
the original, and then that would transition into Gungrave.
Well, here's one for you. I do you you're probably not old enough to remember when Showtime used to have Cartoon Carousel was what it was called.
Uh
So
huh.
they would play like a cart and they would always bring the Japanese animation
Hmm.
in. And, like, there was ones that I would watch and be like, "I have no idea, like, what is this? Galgo 13?" Like, things like this where I was like, "I have no idea what this is." But there was one that was a spaceship, and they would fight the monsters in outer space, but it would look like a dragon, and what it would do is it would bite its own tail and turn into a giant wheel of death and go zipping through them. But look, man, your people are out in force. We got Haley's out there talking about we love Devin and his amazing
Hey Haley.
tattoos.
Oh,
Society
Society
22, we know
22.
who
What's
that
up,
is.
guys?
Game Room Hero, Tattoo King. Name me. I'm not going to destroy your name. I'm bad with names. Let's go. And then Haley's back up there. Berserk
But
mentioned. There you go.
Berserk is a classic.
My son. So my first introduction to Berserk was Keanu Reeves' Berserk book. I
Okay.
had no idea about the other one. Then my kid educated me on it and was like, "No, no, Dad, that's a
What I
whole another
like
thing."
the most about Keanu Reeves is the fact that he is unashamed to take his inspiration from anywhere. From anywhere.
And
Because
he
if you
seems like a
look at
good dude.
the graphic novel with Keanu Reeves, like I haven't read it yet, it's on my to-do list, but he's kind of nodding at this Japanese animation, Japanese comic culture that he's very inspired by in a lot of his movies. I mean, like, look at him in The Matrix, right? Look at him as
Matrix.
John Wick. You know, John Wick has that very classic, you know, like when I watch John Wick, you know, I mentioned it before, I'm reminded of Gungrave, because Gungrave was essentially this guy who, no matter how much damage he took, he was on a quest for revenge and he will not stop until he's killed. And even if he gets killed, he's back.
You
And that's
might have
very
just become
John
my new
Wick.
nerd buddy. You know that, right?
Oh, we're going to talk about comics all day. Let's go.
Like you can't see on the other side of this screen
Hmm.
a my entire rack that is nothing but CGC books
Hmm.
on a rack. Well, Nate's popped up. We'll hit this one up pretty quick, Nate. There's Nate's question. Do you have a favorite Japanese candy?
Ooh, don't hit me with that. It's probably Haichu, and I have a very powerful
Haichus are
connection
good.
with Haichu. Yeah, it's the only way I got through my first apprenticeship. I had a very hard time sitting still, and I used to bring in a giant pack, not just one pack, a giant box of Haichus. Because if I didn't, I was talking to everyone in the studio. I was trying, well, in the shop, because this was in the shop. I would be running around trying to clean things. I just could not stay focused. I was too excited to
Because you
like
were
sit down
there.
and focus. Yeah, because I was there. I was like, oh my god, I'm in a tattoo shop. I'm learning a tattoo. Oh my god, and so I just really couldn't sit still. And so I would bring in these giant boxes of haichu, mango
That's
haichu,
great.
and I would just eat them eat them and eat them and eat them and eat them until like literally I'd be leaving like, oh my god, I'm so sick. But
Oh,
at
that's
least I got my
hilarious.
work done. And the last wrapping of the haiku that I ever ate during my apprenticeship, it's up on my wall in my studio. I taped it to the wall just to
Oh, that's
remind me
hilarious.
where I came from.
That's great. Well, kind of getting into that, I was just, as I was looking through your stuff, your journey kind of began in more of a traditions kind of way, learning from Eric Duval and where's the other? And I'm not even trying to say.
Jamin Bonaventura.
Yeah.
So Eric, well, so my journey is actually not very traditional. From Eric, he trained me. Hey, Rachel. Hi. So he trained me at a tattoo school that was originally called Body Art and Soul. It was me and about 20 something other people shoved into the back of a tattoo studio while tattooing was happening in front of us. And Eric really had his work cut out for him with me, for sure. He definitely did. Um, I think because I was so unlike my peers who have been, went to art school. This is what they do. They had graphic design backgrounds, illustration backgrounds, and I didn't have that. So I always was a doodler growing up as a kid, but like I never really like drew until I was 11 years old. I started taking Japanese, and my teacher, his name was Sensei Kowano. He used to draw when you got a good grade on a test, fat superheroes. And I would freak out. It was my mission to get a fat Superman on my test. And I am not great at learning languages for whatever reason. It's just I don't
I'm with
learn
you.
languages the way that's recommended very, very well. But I would sit in my classroom, my leg going a million miles an hour during a test because I was dedicated to the fat Superman. I needed the fat Superman in my life. And I finally got one. And then after class one day, he stopped me and goes, "Hey, come here." And he looks at me and goes, "Why don't you draw? I see you doodling in your journals all the time." And I was like, I doodle. It's what I do." And then he gave me a book on how to. Yes, Casey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Superman has a very soft space in my heart. And yes, Fat Superman's fantastic. Um, but it was this moment where like I got this manga book and it was teaching me how to like pull this line here, then make a line here. Okay, now round it, and like that was like my first real taste on like trying to learn to draw, and then ultimately, I kind of fell off of it until I was in my apprenticeship. And then I was watching all of my peers zoom past me because they could draw. I couldn't. So I went on Udemy. I don't know if you've heard that website. I
Mm.
love Udemy. It's fantastic. It's one of those like self-education websites. They have hundreds of different classes you can take, whether it's drawing or business, whatever it is. And I took a few different drawing classes in there, and I haven't stopped drawing since.
See, that's interesting to me. So your background now, and I don't understand why some artists get offended by this, but
Hmm.
I've listened to God, I can't think of his name right now. Neil. He passed away a couple years ago. He was a comic book artist. He did the Junkie issue, of which I have of Green Lantern, but he used to talk about tracing. Great
Hmm.
artists. So some of the greatest artists in all of comic books, what made them great was they were great tracers. Was that you? Like you could get handed something and you could follow the lines, you could see the outlines, you could see the patterns. What was your art that I mean? Because man, look, this is not a smooth canvas. This is not like a flat
No,
surface in
it's
any way,
definitely
shape, or
not.
form.
I would have to say, because for me, it's something Eric had said to me, and I'm going to tie this into your question, which was there was a day I was really struggling. I got so infuriated that I literally threw my practice pad and I stormed out of the shop. I was pissed. I was even thinking about giving up on tattooing, and Eric comes and follows me outside. And keep in mind, Eric is a massive man. He's 6'4". His hands are like it's like standing next to an ogre that's wearing a Hawaiian shirt with like all the little flamingos on it and stuff like that. And he's wearing shorts that are, it's like they would be normal sized on me, but on him it's a little short. And so I'm sitting up there, I'm pissed, I'm hitting my vape like there's no one else's business. And he sits down next to me and goes, "What's up, bud?" as he always does. And he always had this look of like when he's really trying to get you to learn something, he has a particular look on his face. And he's looking at me like that. And I'm like, oh no, here comes another Ericism, as I like to call them. And I said to him, I was like, I don't know why I'm not getting better. I've been on this singular pad for months, it felt like. It was like I was so tired of tattooing. It was lettering, by the way. Lettering is nightmare fuel in tattooing if none of
Oh,
you actually
really?
understand. It's, in my opinion, it's probably one of the hardest styles of tattooing that you can do is lettering. But I'll get to that in a second. So I'm telling him all this, and he looks at me and goes, "So what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be the greatest tattoo artist that I could possibly be. I want to be able to go further than all of my peers. I just don't understand why they're so much better than me." And he looks at me and he goes, "Do you know what they have?" And I said, "I don't know. Training, talent, all this." Oh, he said, "Stop. They have talent." And I go, "Oh." And I'm like, "Okay, so do I not have talent?" And he looks at me and smiles and goes, "No, you don't. You don't have talent." So I'm confused. I'm starting to get teary eyed because I'm like, did I just waste all my time by doing this? Like, maybe I should just go find a normal job and, try to find happiness that way? And I know he could think that he was thinking that my brain was churning in this way. And he looks at me and he puts his hand on my shoulder and goes, "You have something none of them have." And I go, "What is that?" He goes, "Drive. You have the drive to make anything happen. If you want it to happen, you're the person that's going to make that happen. So if you're struggling with your drawing, draw. Even if whatever you're drawing is horrible, even if whatever you're doing, like no one likes it, it doesn't matter if you like it or if the other person like it or not. Just keep going because your drive is going to take you further than any one of your peers." And so
That's huge.
far, it's been really, really true for me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I think I've always been more on the art side. I'm definitely, I think that's left brained. I'm definitely very left brained. I'm definitely not right brained at all, which is like, come on, can we get working over here? But what I have is drive. So if I sit down and I look at let's say a picture, I will draw it until I understand it.
So you can kind of grasp it and hold on to it.
Hmm.
Dude, that's huge. So now that kind of gets into, is that how you develop this idea of like my entire career has an intention, which is what we want to talk about. Is
Hmm.
that where that comes from? Is him sitting down and having that real
Hmm.
conversation with you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no other word to describe it. It's like I've been truly blessed with mentors. Eric for his way, Eric for his method, which he is very much part scientist, part graphic designer. And then Jamin, who is a classic tattoo artist. He's been tattooing for, I think, like upwards of 30 years by now. So I've had this training that I think is very against the grain. Thank you. And I think that because I've had this training, well, thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. Um, but I've had a training that is very unique in comparison to other tattoo artists. And this is a training that I am bestowing upon my apprentices and anyone else I teach. I am going to teach this method because talent can get you far.
Mhm.
Talent really can. If you have a talent, you can go many, many places. But drive is the only one thing that will take you from A to Z. Not A to B, A to Z.
Well,
Because
that's the
in a
ability to be
life, there's
coachable.
multiple steps.
That's the ability to be coachable.
Yep.
You prove that other people who had talent. That's the guy who goes, I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm doing. But are you coachable? And look, folks, for those of you that are joining us and you're listening to Devin Noir on our Devil May Cry tattoo studio down in New York City, if you want to see some of his work, or maybe you haven't seen it before, if you go on to Instagram, it's scrolling here on the bottom. His Instagram handle is Devil May Cry Tattoo. You can see what he's got going on. Check out what he's got going on. Those of you join us again, please take a moment, click that like, heart. If you're on YouTube watching us live, make sure you're following us and subscribing to the channel. So So how long are you into this? Because apprenticeships are interesting to me because we've all heard about, hey, buddy is doing exactly, Casey. Smash that like button. That's what I'm all about. You know, you hear there's like, oh, it's a 2-year apprenticeship, to get into this 5-year. Does tattooing have a timeline apprenticeship, or is it more of you can't like you could be apprenticing for 5 years, 10 years? How does that work for tattooing?
I mean, the only apprenticeship I can speak about is the two apprenticeships I went through, and also the apprenticeship that I provide my apprentices, right? Where with let's go with my apprentices, right? There's one expectation that I have for my apprentices, and that is to try to have the drive to become better than me. That is my one expectation. Because if I am going to teach them all these skills that I have put hours, literal hours, into, they're going to take those skills and they're going to make it transform into something entirely new. And it's incredible to watch it happen. I have a few apprentices, and watching how they went from like, I can't pull a clean line to save my life, or the needles going through the pad because they can't get depth properly, all the way to the point where all of them are tattooing people now.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not about time. For me, I think in total, like in apprenticeship, I think I have like over a couple of years. But one of my apprentices got from pad to person in 3 months.
Now, help educate me. Your years, is that a common thing, or is that like, no, that's like way out the
Well,
box?
so just to speak about what a traditional apprenticeship is usually like as I said before, I've been like truly blessed with amazing mentors who did not play this. But most of the time, what happens if you want an apprenticeship, you go to a shop with the artist that you want to train under, and you never ask the artist flat out if you to apprentice because they don't know you. They're like, I don't know you. Why am I going to give you these skills? So what you're going to end up doing is doing a lot of free work for that shop, which is cleaning the shop, taking care of any errands that need to be done, and you could be doing that for years. It's not like, oh, you did this for 6 months, so now, oh, I guess you want an apprenticeship. No, like, no, they're going to be doing this maybe potentially for years. Then you say to the artist like, hey man, I've been here at the shop cleaning for you. I've been even drawing your tattoos for you. I picked up your kids from school a few times. Like, I'm here because I want to learn how to tattoo. And a tattoo artist goes, well, I did just break up with my girlfriend, and so I'm not going to teach her to tattoo anymore. So I guess I'll teach you. But then you do
I
more
didn't
of the
realize that's how it
same
works.
stuff that you've been doing for months, if not years, at this shop. When finally the tattoo artist goes, all right, pull a clean line, bud. Let's see
No,
what you
I
do.
don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Pull a clean line, it means pick up a machine and pull a clean line.
Just a straight line down
Yeah,
another line.
that's it.
That's
Here's
it.
your pad, or, historically, what was it, pig shoulder? Here's the pig shoulder. I want to see a perfect clean line on this pig shoulder.
Interesting.
And you pull the line, and the first time anyone touches a machine, your hand's doing this. Because you're like, oh my God. For me, it was like I felt like I caught Mjolnir for the first time, and I was like ready to raise up the machine up to the heavens, and just like, you know. But every time you pull your first line, everyone's doing this. They're like, oh my God, how do I stretch? Like, how do I wait, stretching? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that
So you're gonna do that, and then guarantee that line is garbage.
and Casey
Guaranteed.
wants to know what was the most valuable lesson you learned in your apprenticeship?
Um, I am my own worst enemy, one, and two, I am the only person I'm competing against. That's the most
I
valuable thing
love
I learned
that.
in my apprenticeship.
Yeah, that I love that. You can stop trying to look at the next guy over, compete against you. Are you better than you are? I learned this recently, and it was my
Hmm.
new favorite saying is today is not easier than yesterday. You're just better at dealing with tough situations.
Yep.
Every day you're just better at dealing with tough situations. You got a few more here. Danielle says you're the goat.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, Casey says pulling clean line is the ultimate test.
It
Nathan, we
is.
know I am no artist. I'm a verbal artist. I have never colored inside of the lines a day in my life. Danielle says you got talent.
Thank you.
Boom. Love that saying. And then most artists are like that. We beat ourselves up. Nathan does graphic arts. That's his
Okay.
deal. Again, I can talk a whole lot. I'm really
Well,
good
I
at
mean,
that.
like, when you're talking to a singer, do you tell them their voice is not an instrument?
Listen, I just sidebar, completely sidebar. I got a documentary for you to watch.
Oh yeah,
Completely sidebar.
tell me.
I just watched Becoming Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Dude,
Yeah.
it only deals with like their younger lives up until 1970.
Okay.
So it's only Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2. How did they form as a band?
Cool.
Talking about like I had no idea. You know the song Goldfinger?
Yeah.
Goldfinger. Do you know that John Paul Jones and gosh, now my brain's gonna stop working on me. The lead guitarist for Zeppelin. Good lord. Why is my brain not working?
It's all
Um
right. Take a moment.
Robert Plant, Jimmy Page. That Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones play on the song Goldfinger before they were ever Zeppelin.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like if you watch this documentary, they talk about because they were both studio musicians, so
Well,
they're
now
in
I know
that.
what I'm watching with my dad when I go down to Texas in June to go see him.
Dude, it's
We got
wild.
he and I are gonna eat this up because my dad, speaking about someone with talent, he's the most talented person I've ever met in my life. Like literally picks up an instrument and just knows how to play it. I don't understand it, but I've always admired it.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah. And see, I love people like that. That's always impressed me. Cody says giving you high fives and fire. Rachel, she had the rocket ship and everything. Rachel, the little pictures didn't come through for me, but we appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
Casey again says it's a must watch documentary. So
All right, looks like
moving
I'm
forward
watching
here.
it.
So you're learning, you're getting your wheels under you. I imagine you probably bounced a couple of studios here and there or whatever they were before you kind of settled into Devil May Cry. Um, how did you go from really realizing like okay, it's time for I've built this. I'm building this career. I have a purpose. I have a focus. How did you go from well, I got to work at somebody else's and pay rent on a chair to no, I'm gonna do this. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do it in one of the toughest places in the world to do it in New York City. Everything's tougher there.
Well, I am a huge fan of manifestation. So I'm going to talk about that really quickly,
I'm all
or
about it.
how this ties in. Yeah, I'm like really into Neville Goddard, Abraham Hicks, just all the teachings
Jesus
of
talks about
Rabbi
that. If you
Bigelow.
didn't know that, Jesus is a big
Oh, don't even get
manifestation
me
guy.
started about it's in the Bible, it's in the Torah, it's in the Quran, it's in Buddhist teaching, Taoism, it's literally everywhere. Even my favorite, Hermeticism. I love Hermeticism, the
What
power
what
of
what
mind.
what is
So
hermeticism?
Hermeticism was, I wouldn't want to call it a religion. It was a school of philosophy called the Hermeticists. And eventually it started picking up traction and the church was like, "Oh no, 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 no." And they absorbed Hermeticism to quiet it. But Hermeticism is the how do I describe it? Essentially, Hermeticism is the philosophical pathway to mastering your mind.
I like it.
That's where as above, so below comes from, as within, so without, um, as on earth is on heaven, et cetera, et cetera. Where these sayings come from, it's all from Hermeticism.
I never heard that.
And oh
Interesting.
yeah, Hermeticism is amazing. I've read this book multiple times called The Kybalion. I highly recommend this book. It's
Yeah, you'll have to
not
give
an
me the
easy
name of it, and I'll
read.
write it down after the show because
Oh,
I'll
I
definitely
will
check it
I
out.
will send it to you in on Instagram. I'll DM it to you. It's an
Awesome.
amazing book. For whatever reason, I get a brand new copy, I reread it, and then someone runs off with my copy. But I think this information is just meant to be shared with the world. But the Kybalion is an incredible book, and it talks about the several laws of the universe and how everything comes from the mind and the all is mind, etc., etc. So anyway, talking about how I went from all these shops into my own studio, we as people who study manifestation, we have an understanding we never manifest what we want. We always manifest who we are. And I remember the last shop I was in, It just didn't feel like me. It did not feel like me. I was tattooing these events where they had $20 tattoos. I wasn't making a great percentage at all, and it just did not feel right at all. I made some major strides while I was in that shop, but it wasn't right. And so for a little while, I went from shop to shop interviewing here and there. None of the shops felt right. It didn't feel like me. And that's like my internal compass, I like to call it, or my higher self talking to me, or some people will call it God, some people call it the universe,
I
spirit,
get it.
etc., etc. And I finally had this what I like to call an intuitive thought of maybe you're just not meant to work for anyone anymore. And I looked at it around, I did like comedic relief, like how in the office they're always just like no one's around me, but I do this. And anyway, so I look over and I go, oh, maybe I'm not meant to work for anyone. Maybe it's time for me to work for myself. Let me create a career for myself, not for a shop, not for this person, not for that person, not for this group of people, not for this. No, let's make it for myself. And I have never looked back.
That's a beautiful thing, brother. I would never work for anybody else again in my life after I did it.
I'm just not capable of it anymore. I am happy to collaborate with people, but the idea of someone having control over me or making my decisions for me, no, I entirely reject it. It just doesn't work for me.
No bueno.
No. No bueno is like an
No bueno.
understatement.
Nate, yes, it is past my bedtime. Uh, I'm assuming this is hazy. She says manifestation is key.
It is. It
Casey,
very
New York
much
City
is.
is the concrete jungle, as the song says, her dreams are made of.
Yep.
A from Tay, and look, $20 tattoos. Quick sidebar thought: Did you
Hmm.
do you in your current studio have one of those silly ass tattoo gumball machines? Have you seen those? Do you have
I
one of
know
those?
exactly what those are about. No, I do not have one in
Would
my
you ever have
studio.
one? Would you ever
I
have
think,
one?
well,
Or
I
is it
think
too
in the
cliche?
market that we're in is that people aren't booking you for your actual work. They're booking you for the experience, right? So if I can
Right.
provide an experience with a gumball machine, or better yet, a claw machine, which I think would be hilarious.
Oh, I like the claw machine. That's great.
Right? Can you imagine like using the claw and you're like, oh, I want that one, but it picks up the one next to it, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
great. Now I guess I'm getting a Snoopy tattoo today. Awesome. When I really wanted the sick panther.
Newbie with a giant hoo ha hanging down. That would be great. And that, because that's what all those tattoos are. Like anytime I've ever seen those gumball machine ones,
Oh, they're ridiculous.
they're like flying penises and like just ridiculous stuff where you're like, listen, man, I gave you $50 for that. That's you can keep the $50. I'll be damned if you put
Oh
that on
yeah, big
me.
time.
Like,
In fact, the last
congratulations, you
shop I
won.
was in had one of those gumball machine, but the tattoos were surprisingly like too good for the machine. It always confused me. I was like, why are these designs this good? Shouldn't we have like a dolphin on a skateboard on here, or
Yeah,
like
like
just
something
something
stupid like it.
ridiculous? Right. Like why are these so good? Why are these so concise? But I think just like let's say I had like a shop of my own instead of just my studio, I would definitely have one for sure.
Well,
I definitely
now
would
you
have
bring
it
up
for
a
the
point there.
experience.
Now, what's the difference there between saying a shop of your own and a studio? What's the difference there?
So in my studio, I mean, my apprentices do tattoo in my studio, occasionally when they have bookings, but I can't take walk-ins.
Mm.
My entire career is based off of people booking, whether it's for Flash or custom work. That's the entirety of my career. I can't take walk-ins, but if I had a shop, a brick and mortar location, I can definitely take walk-ins. Walk-ins are really great if you're new. If you're new at tattooing and you're really trying to get your hours in, or if you're trying to build up your clientele, walk-ins are a great way to make it happen. Is it the end all be all? Do you have to do it? No. It's a very like old school tattooing way of belief where it's like, oh, you're new, you have to take walk-ins. I don't think we're in that day and age anymore. As long as you are, I don't want to say solid on social media, but at least comfortable enough where you're consistent with social media, anyone can make that career happen. But with a shop, you could take walk-ins, and the gumball machine is perfect for a walk-in. Someone comes in, they're like, I have no idea what I want. Well, we have this gumball machine for $50. Do you want to try it?
Suck it up, Buttercup. Who knows what you're about to get?
Oh, you're getting a space dragon panther warrior today, bud. It's this big, by the way. No details, just
Yeah,
line work.
just pure. And I imagine, line work, like you said, would you say dragging a line? Whatever.
Pulling, I would say
Pulley. See,
pulling.
I was close. I was close.
Yeah, you're kind of close.
So now, as you've progressed and you decided to make that decision, I mean, that's got to be huge from a personal career point when you have that epiphany to say, okay, I'm done with other people's locations, other people's processes, other people's prices. I'm going to step out and do this on my own at my own location. What were some of and I'm always curious about this. This is something I ask every
Sure.
person who's become an entrepreneur like yourself and myself. What was some of the reactions of your support system that you had around you at that time? And you're like, yeah, hey, I'm leaving this well-established location where I can get walk-ins, like you were mentioning, and I'm just going to go do it on my own. What were some of the reactions you got?
Honestly, I had mostly positive support from everyone around me. You know, my dad, my family, like they were very supportive of it. My family worries about me for sure, but all I get from my family is support, and it's like a really beautiful thing. When it came to friends, they were like, "Finally, you're leaving this shop." I even had clients who were like, "You're really leaving?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm leaving." They were like, "Yes," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And so I
What was
had
it
pretty
about the
much,
place that was like? Was it like
um,
what was the TV show there for a while where they were like in the tattoo
oh,
studio?
New
Oh,
York Ink or
yeah, they had all those
no,
ink
Ink
shows.
Master.
Ink Master's interesting. I'm
Uh,
going to ask you about Ink Masters in a minute, but it was New
don't
York
even get me
Ink
started.
with what's her name? She's now on Sirius XM
Uh,
Radio.
was it Kat
Um,
Von D? No,
yeah,
no.
Kat Von D. It was
She
Kat Von
was
D.
Ink Master though. But she was Ink Master though,
I
not
thought
New
she
York
had
Ink.
a studio show too.
Did she? I never saw
I
it.
think that's
I
where I
try to
first
avoid
ever.
these.
That's where I met. I learned about her was she had like a studio show,
Hmm.
and it was like she had her own place now, and it was she's hot. I mean, let's not get it twisted.
You know what? If she's using whatever she was got, no shame in the game. You know what? Slow clap
Listen,
for
I
you.
listen.
Well
Get it,
done.
get it while
Good
you
for
got
you.
it. But
I mean, listen, if I had looks like that, I would utilize it too. But, you know, it is what it is.
hey, look, those of us that are a little extra fluffy, we're
That's
okay
right.
with it. We're okay with it.
That's
We
right. Fluffy gang
you know
strong.
you know what it is when we're fluffy like us.
Hmm.
Women want to be warm at night. Want to be we can handle this for them.
Yep. And I
That's what
run
we do.
warm anyway. Literally, like I'm like a human space humor. It's
I
fantastic.
My wife yells at me about that all the time. I'm the same exact way. She's like,
Yes.
"You're so hot. Get off of me." I'm like, "Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you for
appreciate
that
that.
comment."
Yeah.
But so, I mean, so you've pulled the chalks. You're off doing your own thing. Um, what what was your so you had an established clientele though. So I imagine it wasn't that bad to be like, "Hey, FYI,
Um,
guys, I'm not going to the studio anymore. It's going to be in my basement. Come see me now."
well, so ironically enough, like in the building that I live in, I had like an art space that I was using to tattoo in for a very, very long time. And moving them over there was, it wasn't a very difficult transition. I just think when I left, I could have timed it a little bit better, I think. If I had left earlier, like let's say before the summer started, I think it would have been a little bit more beneficial for me to avoid the feast and famine cycle. But because there is in tattooing, we have a feast and famine cycle. We
Do
call it
you?
slow season. Oh, absolutely, we do big time. We go
What
through
is
it.
it?
It is the period of time after Halloween and tax day. Everything slows down, which has never made sense to me because literally that is the best time of the year to get tattoos. It's the best time.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me because it's like, oh, do you want your brand new tattoo to be fully healed by the time summer comes
Yeah.
around? Well, according to everyone else, it's like, no, I'm trying to get a tattoo mid July. I want to sweat like crazy, not be able to go to the beach. No swimming. I don't do swimming. No, in fact, I don't go outside during the summer. I'm going to show
I
off
would
this
like that
tattoo in
gross
winter with my
scab.
jacket on.
I want you to see my scab of what was my tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Next
You
year
guys are going to
though,
the beach. I'm going to be Bubble Boy, you know, in like the suit. That's about as best you're going to do on the beach after a fresh tattoo, because otherwise, it's just going to be gross.
It's wild.
But that is generally the slow season that a lot of us go through, and sometimes it can last a couple of months, sometimes it's a few weeks. Um, but it does happen. It definitely does happen. I think it's almost like a rite of passage for every tattoo artist to go through, whether they're in a shop or in a studio space like I am. I think it's a rite of passage that we all go through and learn from.
That's wild. So you hit this little family spot. You're in that transition. When does it become where you realize for yourself, I can pass this information on to a new generation of artists? Because I think about it. You told me you're what, 36, right?
Yeah.
So 36 years old, not many people, unless you were a Marine like myself, I think of a 36-year-old like, hey, that dude's 36. He's got probably 16 to 18 years in the service. He's seen
Hmm.
some shit at this point in his life. I don't think most people are like, 36-year-old tattoo artist. He's tattooed some shit in his life. They're looking for, like, there used to be a guy, tell you a quick story. There used to be a guy in Jacksonville, North Carolina, that his name was
Hmm.
Indian Joe. And he was like this amazing tattoo artist in Jacksonville, which is where Camp Lejeune is. But the story was always the same: get to Indian Joe before he gets to the bottle or the powder, and you'll have an amazing tattoo. But if you miss that, I'm really sorry, man. Who knows what you're going to end up with? Like, you might
Um,
end up with an infection.
I mean, the possibilities are endless of what could happen during a tattoo. I mean, luckily for me, I'm a sober person. Actually, this month will be 11 years of sobriety for me. So thank you on the 20th. And so for me, I don't really worry about that. With the way that would affect me, it comes down to self-care. Did I sleep enough the night before? Have I drank enough water that day? Have I eaten? What happened that's making me, like let's say something happens and I feel angry. Oh, that's bad. When I get angry and I start tattooing, my hands will shake a little bit more. I notice I feel like this pressure around here while I'm pulling lines as well. So it's just kind of like this thing that, thank you, Rita, that I've always noticed when I am angry and I start tattooing, it's like my body will physically react to it
I
because it's a
told
full
you.
body job. Oh yeah, big time.
But when did you know you could start mentoring other tattoo artists?
Um, I don't think I ever really knew. It's just something just like tattooing, it kind of just happened. Um, I've always tried to like pick up people to try to teach to tattoo, and my most recent set of apprentices, so I'm gonna say their names, Ava, Summer, and Crystal. Um, when Ava came into my life, it's like things just started clicking. When I started teaching her how to tattoo, it was like my life made sense a little bit more to me. That's how teaching feels. It's like it makes sense for me to do it. It's something that I love to do. It's something that is a part of me, and I love to be able to, give this information away. But like when Ava walked in my life, Summer walked in my life, Crystal, every time I started teaching, it just made more and more sense to me, and I love to do it. I love it.
See, that's awesome, man. I can tell by the way you're saying it how you feel about it. Real quick here, we're getting pretty close to closing up the bar here. We're gonna make that
Hmm.
New Scotland Spirits last call. If you're looking for a spirit that's as bold and as rich as New York history, New Scotland Spirits is crafting exceptional, locally sourced whiskey that tells a story with every sip. From grain to glass, we honor tradition while pushing the boundaries of flavor. Whether you're a whiskey connoisseur just getting started, there's a bottle waiting for you. Raise your glass with the true craftsmanship. Find New Scotland Spirits near you or visit newscotlandspirits.com to learn more. New Scotland Spirits, where history and flavor meet. So get that out of the way. So a couple of things I'm curious for the
Sure.
folks that are thinking about it. And again, folks, if you want to know what Devin's got going on, you want to see what he has, make sure you give him a like, share, and follow over on Instagram. Devil May Cry Tattoos. If you're down in the city, make sure you're reaching out to him. Say, hey, I would like to have my entire face tattooed with Sean's face so I can look like him, and he will tattoo my face on your face, and then we can be
I could
face
think
to
of a few
face.
ways. I could
I
think of
mean,
a few ways
we'll
to
be
make that
face to
happen.
face at that point. I mean,
Exactly.
that it's one of those things. But I I told you before, my daughter does tattoos, and
Hmm.
if you like chubby Superman, you must check out Scotty Young. If you do not know who Scotty Young is, I have
No, who is that?
so Scotty Young is a comic book artist
Hmm.
who does all the chubby kids. I don't know if my wife's listening. My statues, my Scotty Young statues are on the other side here. Here, like
Okay.
I don't ever do this. Here, hold on a sec.
Oh,
So
we're getting a look.
you're
Are you
gonna
getting
get
the
a look.
curtain?
Do you see the Incredible Hulk right there
Yeah,
and the
I do.
She-Hulk? So he
I
does them
do.
all that style.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets that view. You get that view, but
Oh, thank you. I
he
feel very honored.
you should.
Truly.
But Scotty does those like chubby character like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughter's done mine. But I know you were talking about, and I've heard people talk about the pork shoulder before. Um, what about like she had like we've bought her the skin, the
Yeah.
fake skin. We bought her like an arm that was like designed for
Mm-hmm.
tattooing. For somebody that's out there that maybe they don't, they're in the middle of the country, they don't have access to a Devon or a place where, New York City, you within a who knows how many places are within a square block, but they can't just go, well, I don't like this guy, I'll go to the next guy and he'll be nice to me and let me learn. What are some of the things you would say, like pick up this book or go get these items? What's some of the stuff you would say?
The first thing I'm going to say is when you are ready, the right teacher will appear.
They will manifest.
Oh, they will. Like, it's the eeriest thing. Like, meeting Jamin, it was like he appeared out of the shadows, and suddenly I was like, I have another mentor now. Because I was ready. I was ready for that next step in my education. I was ready to enhance my skills, and he appeared. So, the right teacher will appear to you at the right time. That is the first thing. The second thing is how you draw is how you are going to tattoo.
What do you mean?
So let's say, for example, there's something in drawing called hairy lines. It's usually done by someone who doesn't feel super confident pulling a clean line like that, or, just who is your tribe?
You
I
finish what you're saying and we'll get to that.
don't know what that means, but
I'll
I'll
explain it
figure
in a
it out.
minute.
Cool. So when people do hairy lines, they're essentially going
Oh,
to
okay. I
get a
get it.
clean line. I think that when I first started tattooing, that's how I pulled lines. So of course, on a pad, I'm going, and then my lines are all messy. They're messy. They had dots. There was no real connection. There was no real like longevity of that. And so I had to learn number three is true confidence. Not, oh, I'm the best and no one can touch me level of confidence of I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at, and I'm willing to learn level of confidence. That's like the big three I would say. The fourth thing I would say is do not learn to tattoo from YouTube.
Why
Don't.
not? Don't do it.
Because you don't know where the education of the person providing that information is coming from. And something I see a lot on these channels that are like, here's how you pull a clean line. First of all, they're not recommending the proper needle grouping. For example, everyone who's in the realm of tattooing understands what a fine line tattoo is. Most of them are done with something called a 3 round liner. Okay, a 3 round liner is practically a scalpel. So if you have a tattoo this big on someone's arm and the line is this thick and you're pulling it with a 3 round liner, you're chewing that person up. And a lot of these channels encourage people to use needles that they're not ready for. Having someone to look at your work and go, okay, so let's see what we're working with here. I'm going to zoom in because this is what tattoo artists do. We see a tattoo, we are zooming in on it. It doesn't matter how good it looks far away. We zoom in on it and we go, okay, so this line's a little shaky, but pulled off with the, recovered with the shading, understood. All right, this line's super clean, well done, beautiful. Having someone to reach out to, I think, is an incredible thing to have. And if you are looking for an apprenticeship, find tattoo apprentices, ask them about their mentors and be like, hey, I saw that you're training under this person. I'm looking for an apprenticeship. Do you think they have time to teach someone else? The worst thing that they're going to say is, actually, no, they don't have time for that right now. The best thing that could be said is, actually, yeah, they actually have time for another apprentice if you want to start. And so
Worth it
those
to
are
reach
like
out to them. Yeah.
yeah, those are just about like the 4 or 5 different options I would tell people who are learning, want to learn how to tattoo.
See, I love that. So my daughter is watching right now. I just got a
Mm-hmm.
message and she gave you a heart. So I was very happy to hear
Oh,
that.
thank you.
So what Patrick's talking about, Patrick's one of my mentors. He helped me with getting my business started. What he's talking about when he says, "Who's your tribe?" These are the people that are around you that support you, but they
Mm,
may not necessarily like five of them could have nothing to do with tattoos. It's, hey, Mike is the guy I call that says, "Hey, look, man, you're looking like you need a haircut." Joe is the guy I call that says, "Hey, man, let's go out to dinner." These are all people that have different parts, just like in a tribe. They all have different jobs within our lives. So what he's
okay.
asking is, have you built those people that have different jobs within your life, and how did you put that together?
I think for me specifically, like I am someone that I spend a lot of my life isolated. I'm not really around a lot of people all the time, but I definitely do feel like I have my people, in my life, and there's definitely room for more. Like one of which, I don't think she might be watching actually. Nicolina, she's my best friend. She is someone I can come to for anything, and my favorite thing about her is that she's not going to tell me what I want to hear. She is
Love those
always
people.
going to be honest with me. She's always going to give me facts and data and stuff of that nature. She's never someone who I have to worry about, like, oh, is she just telling me what I want to hear? She doesn't do that. And so there's Nicolina. There's, of course, my family. I'm very, very close with my dad, which I'm like super grateful for. Um, learning how to just be a human from him has changed my life. Um, my sister. We don't talk a lot or often, but I always have this thought in the back of my mind. She's the younger sibling, I'm the older one, but I have this thought of how can I make my sister proud?
That's awesome.
Because she is someone I'm so impressed by. She went to college, she's done things that I have never been able to do, and she has just gone from 0 to 100, and she's living this beautiful life. And so I'm super like impressed by her. I admire her. Um, and ultimately, like when my sister tries to teach me something, even if I don't get it, which a lot of the time is what's happening, I try my best to listen. And there's also my stepmom. I'm very, very close to her. I call her Mama Dukes. Mama Dukes gives amazing advice. She actually, we talk about like Mel Robbins, Lewis Howes, stuff of that. So like let them theory and stuff of that.
Brendan
And I'm really
Bouchard.
grateful.
Brendan Bouchard.
No, Brendan
Oh,
Burchard.
so
I'll
Mel
say yes or
Robbins
no.
Mel
Hmm.
Robbins is part of Brendan's network.
Okay.
He's Growth Day. So that's
Okay.
so if you've heard of Growth Day, Mel Robbins is part of Growth Day, and that's
Okay.
owned by Brendan Bouchard.
Okay. So I'm gonna definitely look up Brendan. I have a lot of things to look up. This is gonna be an exciting evening for me because
I'm
I wasn't
sorry, I
really
don't.
around.
I told you, like, as soon as you and I connected, so we're gonna go off script for a moment. So as soon as you and I connected, and
Hmm.
I saw like, hey, you're putting stuff out, you're following, you're doing all. I knew we would connect because we have similar likes. My wife always laughs. She's like, "You're just a giant nerd child," and my wife knows it. But it's always funny
Yeah.
because at 48 years old, I'm still. She was like, "How old do you feel?" Like I'm like 16. Like I stopped right there. I'm like
Yeah.
most men. 16 was perfectly fine for me.
Uh,
Things were
I
good.
I want to say I'm probably around the same age. I
Yeah,
think
like 16's perfect
16,
for most
17,
guys.
maybe even like a little bit 18. Because I was like I was a very awkward teenager. Like, oh, it was bad. Um, but I think around there is where I kind of just like started not really caring about what other people liked and what I liked.
This is a great question from Patrick. What percentage of your business comes from people who share your art and is by seeing it in person or sharing it online? Do you understand what he's asking? Like, how
Oh,
many
I
people
do
just like see your
understand.
stuff?
It's a little bit of a difficult metric because once you tattoo someone, unless they post it in their story, I have no idea what they're doing. They could be like hiding the tattoo, keeping it to themselves, or they're like, "Guys, look at this. It's amazing. Look at this." So it's a difficult metric to be able to like give a truly authentic answer to. What I can say is, from my perspective, it just seems for me posting about it. You know, 'cause social media is the god that overlook or like kind of like overlords over all entrepreneurs because we rely on it, a lot of us, for our work. So it really does come down to like posting it online, being consistent, trying to understand the algorithm, which is like so far beyond my head, but like I try. I really try. Meta, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm trying my best here. Um, so I really think most of my clients are coming from, I saw you posted this. Awesome. I want this. And then sometimes it just seems like people just kind of appear out of the ether, and I ask them where they found me, and they're like, "Oh, Reddit."
You didn't even know you were there.
I was like, "What? I'm on Reddit?" And someone sent me like a screenshot, and someone just like recommended me on a list of tattoo artists who do my style, and I was like, "Awesome." So honestly, that's a metric I can't fully answer. What I can say is that I'm to continue to do my due diligence, though.
So, as we're getting pretty close here,
Hmm.
what advice would you have to is inspiring artist or entrepreneur? And listen, it's not necessarily tattoo, but that person who says, I'm looking for that career that has intention to it. I'm looking to not just humdrum it through life. I think that, and listen, I believe you can have intention and work at McDonald's. You
Oh,
can work at the
absolutely.
most simplest job and have intention. So I don't want people to be like, I must zen out and go and find my purpose. Like, what is your advice to that person? Because you found your intention, which was to add modifications of beauty to people's skin. So what did you figure out?
Well, first of all, tattooing chose me. I truly believe it. It's not something that I've like actually it's not something that I went out of my way to like want to become. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a tattoo artist. I mean, if you know, if my dad's listening, he's probably going to laugh, but I wanted to be a fireman when I
I
was a
like it.
kid. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to go into burning buildings. I don't know why, but I was really into it. Like my dad took me to the I had like a little jacket. He took me to the firehouse. Um, but tattooing really chose me, and I think that's what has made it my path. It wasn't something I sought. It came to me. An opportunity presented itself, and I went, okay, let's do it. And I'm not someone who starts something and is like, I'm not really into it after a little bit. If I'm going to get myself into something, I am going to go as far as I can until I feel like I literally can't move any further.
So find what chooses you and be the best at it is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Patrick says social media is the new overlord of today's successful business. You know what it reminded me of as you were talking there, Devin?
Mm.
Have you ever watched or read Neil Gaiman's American Gods?
Oh, of course. Of
So
course.
it, the internet would be one of Neil Gaiman's new American Gods.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely it would. I
Like
mean,
he
like, let's look at influencers. Influencers are just the angels of the heaven of social media.
Yeah, I was gonna say the demigods of it, but yeah,
Absolutely.
they are the demigods of it. So yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. So, well, look, folks, if you're finding Devin through me or me through Devin, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, any of the social media links that we've been talking about here, make sure you're giving this a like, share, follow. We do this every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Somebody different. Patrick has actually been a guest on here before talking about the tribes. But next week, our guest is a gentleman by the name of Tom Lamb. Tom owns a AI company called Willow, WILO dot AI. It's a startup designed to train large language model in a nuance of effective coaching. The platform facilitates ongoing conversation with clients, allows you to curate and tag accurate data. The data is then used to train language models to replicate coaching experiences, enabling it to provide personalized support to develop better habits around exercise and nutrition. And if you were to see this dude, he's a brick shit house. He's a big dude. He's an
Mm.
absolute big dude. So if you're curious how can AI help me to work out and to come up with a better fitness plan, especially with everything that AI is AI is interesting. I just heard a thing, and we'll run over for a couple of minutes here. I just saw a thing the other day. AI is removing words from our language use. Have you seen
It
this?
is. It
And
is.
you saw that
I
like
did. I
I was
did.
like,
I was like, kind of like,
that's
okay.
scary.
Oh, it's very scary.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, we're getting into, dare I say, the Matrix territory.
well, they actually, you know what they compared it to was
Hmm.
the book
Oh
1984,
yeah. Yeah,
where
yeah.
you start removing words from people's lexicons. They don't know it. Where in 1984 they removed the words free and freedom, freedom of speech, and they started removing those words from it to where people didn't know that it was a thing they used to have. And by doing
Well,
that, people lose access to it. So it's very interesting.
it is interesting. I am not nearly as threatened by AI as I think a lot of people are.
Well, AI can't do what you do.
Well, I mean, the reality is no single human being on the planet is controllable. We're not.
You know, oh, that's a whole nother show. It's like a whole show in it. Because I will definitely because I real
Each and
quick,
every
do you
one of us are going to have our own belief systems,
right?
morals,
Hmm.
values, our own colloquialisms, our own slang.
Okay.
Each and every one of us are going to have it, which makes us undeniably uncontrollable.
I'll give you
If
one
we are
phrase.
following a law, it's because we see the benefit of it
Can I give you
psychologically.
can I give you one phrase to ponder on this? Because we're gonna
Sure.
get ready to go. Here's gonna be the phrase to ponder on.
Okay.
What you said is absolutely correct. Because a person is smart, people are stupid.
Are people
Oh,
stupid?
in a group setting, yes, they are because a person I
Are
can
they though?
reason with you. You and I can have an
Because
engaging conversation
right,
back
right,
and
right.
forth. We can engage, but in a mass setting, when you're in that mass group and you feel that mass energy, it's like a concert. Like I can't wait. We're going in August. I'll be not far from you in August. I'm going to see System of a Down and Corn
Oh,
at the Meadowlands. Thank you. So
well
we're gonna
done.
go to that concert. What do you like? I could sit down and reason with somebody and be like, Sturge's voice is blah 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 blah, and be like, yeah, you're absolutely right, and I could have that one on one. But if I stood on top of the stage and went like, Surgeon's voice sucks, everybody would, oh, they could like
Well,
they
because
would.
that's pack dynamics, right? So what
Yeah,
I'm
that's it.
talking
That's
about
people. Yeah.
is either once was called folk psychology in the 50s and now it's called primal psychology. That's pack dynamics.
Because
Even
people.
if you walk into a concert, you're in a room of people that you don't know, but the second someone says something off about the band you are going to see, everyone goes ballistic. But I had an experience actually really quick. I One of my favorite bands is called Bad Omens.
Okay.
Love them. Amazing band. I saw them September of 2023. Yes, September of 2023. And there was a point in the show where like Noah, the lead singer, he was like, "No, stop, stop." He stopped everyone because he noticed there was a group of kids who like they're clearly like new to the genre. They don't really understand what it is to be a metalhead or go to a metal show or anything like that. And he goes, "Guys, there's a proper way to mosh, and then there's the exact wrong way to mosh. Now that girl has been on the ground for about 2 minutes, and none of you have picked her up. Welcome to the metal community. She gets picked up right now." And it was an incredible
Oh,
moment.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
But so it is not up to the group to stop said stupidity.
Right.
It's up to the band to stop that stupidity. It's
Think
not
about
up
the
to
band.
us.
I love it.
Because in the end
And
of the day, I can sit there and I get angry about all these group of kids. They just ruined this show. They don't know how to mosh. This girl's been the. It's not for me to get angry about. This is the band's show.
it's for the person because the people are stupid. It's for the
Well,
person to educate.
I
I'm gonna
think
stand on
that
my head for that one. And you shouldn't
yeah.
take you don't go to a Bad Omen show. Go to a Guar show. Be old.
Oh,
Go
don't
to
even
a
get me
Guar
started. It's
show.
on my list. It's on my list. I mean, I've seen a Monomarth as well. I don't know if you listen to a
Here, I'll give you
Monomarth.
the last one before, and don't log off after this. I'll give you a show that I didn't know what I was going to see at the time, but all metalheads get so excited when I tell them this. When I was probably 14, I saw Sepultura, Helmet, and Ministry all in the same show.
Did they play Roots? Did
Dude, I
Sepultura
don't
play
remember.
Roots?
Dude, do you know how long ago that was? But I was 14 and
That
people were
show's
like, "You
that's
saw
an
who?"
incredible show.
I'm like, "Yeah, I saw the original Sepultura, the Ministry and Helmet all in the same show in Baltimore." So, look, folks,
Incredible.
again, we're going to get ready to get out of here. Devin, I know you've listened to a bunch of other shows. You're completely prepared for what's about to happen here. And again, don't log off on me afterwards. We got to talk for just a moment after the show.
Sure.
But the guest always gets the final word. What's our final word tonight?
You are your own competition. That's it.
Alrighty, folks, be sure to push your stool in. This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.